Folks, if you listen to my daily financial news on March 18th, which was Saturday, I tried to highlight that I believe what's going on in the banking crisis. I believe the fact that 10 years down, 2 years down, the money printers going burr, all these things we're hearing about in the media, I believe most people have it wrong. I believe lending up and down the stack is about to get harder, is about to get more expensive as lenders back away, whether it be banks, whether it be limited partners and syndications, or where Jason and I play, private money. I believe all of this is going to get harder. I mean, how couldn't it? We've had a banking crisis. People get scared. The last thing they want to do is lose money. So, Jason, I don't know what's going on in your business with private money, but I think in general, raising private money for the average investor is about to get hard, or for some with no experience, it will get really, really, really hard. What says Jason?
I feel like I agree with you 100%. And I think all of my deals have been funded with private money. So like I can speak to this topic, I think, with some confidence. So for me, what I'm seeing is that our private lenders are still on board. And it's because of the track record I have, the performance that I've done over the years with them, and the relationship that I've built. So if you've got solid relationships with your lenders, I think you're going to be in a good spot. That being said, even the people that I've borrowed money from for years, I'm getting calls and text messages that I didn't used to get, just saying like, hey, what are you thinking about this? What are you thinking about the market? What are you thinking about the rate? So I can sense the nervousness there. But I think if you're a proven operator and you've always paid your debt on time and you've always paid your bills when you're supposed to, I think you'll be fine. But for the people that maybe don't have those relationships, I think they're going to be in for maybe kind of a little rocky road coming up.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things you said there that are very, and I just want to put some scale on this for folks. If you were just to estimate how many private transactions you've completed, right, borrowed and paid back, and then the other number is what do you think the totality of private money that you've borrowed, even if you took 100 grand from the same person 5 times,
Yeah.
I want you to count that as 500, right?
Yeah.
So over the course of your now 8-year investing career, or is it 5? 8 years.
Yep.
How many total private money transactions you think you've completed start to finish and paid back every penny? How many?
I'd say 250 to 300 total transactions, and we're probably in the neighborhood of 25, 30 million, something like that. So it's been
that is a clear operator with history, track record, multiple transactions. I think I've done 75 total, right? I've done them in spurts. I haven't done them as a consistent thing, and probably only 12 and a half, 13 million. I think I added up once earlier. But yeah, you've got two guys here that have borrowed, let's call it 40 million, round number, 300, 400 transactions. We're not going to be hurt because we've never missed a payment. Yeah. Everybody's been paid back. We have people calling and asking questions. I actually have people calling and saying, hey, I got a little extra for you because I'm not going to do this or that. But instead of talking about us, I want to go back to you and I, or pick an investor and say, hey, you're interested in real estate investing. You can find some opportunities, however you do it. You find deals with meat on the bone. Let's just assume it really is a deal.
Yeah.
How would you go about doing your first private money raise today? Because that person, I think, is going to have a really difficult time. So what kind of coaching would you give that person?
I would say your deal has to make sense. That's the first thing I would say. The numbers on whatever deal you're going to present to any private lenders you're going to ask for funds for, or the numbers have to work. So you have to be buying right, especially if you're new, right? Because that's going to give you the cushion that you need in case the market fluctuates more on us. So I think buying right and making sure your numbers are correct are the first thing. I think the second thing is, I think it's going to be dependent on the relationship that you have with that person, right? And so I think you're going to have to go and not just show them a viable deal, but also, it's probably not going to be a total stranger that's going to fund your first thing, right? And so I think you have to tap into those relationships that you have. And I think most people, I know I struggled with this at the beginning, Zuber. I don't know if you did, but for me, I had a lot of limiting beliefs about asking people for money. That's what I thought. Was like, hey, can I borrow 200 or 300 grand? Right. And I think that's the big problem that most new investors have, is they have limiting beliefs around, money. They think money is scarce. I know I was taught in my household that money was scarce coming up. I think you've had a similar experience. So when that's programmed in our brains from an early age, right, we think like, well, this is probably never going to happen for somebody like me, right? So I think you have to overcome those limiting beliefs about money. And you have to present your funding request in a way where it's not you're asking for somebody to or not asking to borrow money. You're presenting them with an investment opportunity. I think that's the other big thing. You have to realize that you're presenting them with an opportunity to invest and bring them a viable deal. And then I think, just go from there.
Yeah. One of the things that I did by happy accident, and even till this day, I've never asked for any private money from anyone. It's always been offered to me.
Yeah.
And if I go back, I actually had a blog. I mean, this is how long ago it was. It was called wealthbuildingpro.com. It doesn't exist anymore, but apparently Google or some sites scrape it so people can go find it if they want. It was wealthbuildingpro.com. And this is at the time I was writing on BiggerPockets. I was a featured blogger for every week for over a year until Brandon Turner came along and just blew it all up. But anyways, so I was writing wealthbuildingpro.com, and I was buying in 2010, and I was naming my houses crazy names. The Gumball House, the this house, because I didn't want to say the name of the street. I was just calling them something. Lo and behold, all I was doing was taking a picture, documenting what we bought it for, what we did it for. I was doing Burr before it was a thing.
Yeah.
And this site, I think I got to like 7 or 8 projects. And my buddies, right? My network of salespeople, Silicon Valley, right? They're like, hey, I've been reading about it. I've seen what you're doing. I've seen the consistency. Oh, by the way, I'm earning nothing in my savings account. Let me know if you ever want. First, it comes. Do you want to be a partner? Right? Let's do deals together. I'm like, not my thing. But if you're willing to be my bank, I'll give you 12% interest. That's where I started this. It eventually goes down to 10, but that's where I started because I didn't know. I wanted to make sure they were taken care of. And I had millions of dollars at my disposal probably 6 months after the blog started, and I never had to go back.
And you bring up a good point, and I think this is something where a lot of people miss out on this opportunity. They have such a powerful tool at their disposal with social media, and most people just aren't using it the right way, right? And I think you and I are guys that really go out and leverage social the right way, right? And it's just sharing what you're doing, right? You were doing it on your blog, and now with your phone, you can just on Facebook or Instagram, right? You can go and just talk openly about what you've got going on. And whether you realize it or not, people are watching, and you have to just, like you said, present that opportunity, right? And I'll do it with my stuff, right? When we have deals that need to get funded and all my resources are tapped, I'll just go on social and say, hey, I've got this and this going on right now. I need to raise X amount of dollars. Is anybody interested? And it's amazing. People will just reach out to me and we'll fund it that way. And so I think you've got to leverage those type of tools and share what you've got going on, document the journey that you're on, and you'll be surprised what happens.
Yeah, I think that is the key for me is you've got to document your learning process, right? If you haven't done a deal yet and bringing a deal and you don't have a history or something to point at, if it's not your mom or your dad or your, somebody really close to you, it's not happening. But if you spend 6 months documenting your journey, learning your market, knowing the Mayfair district, knowing the Tower district, showing them that you can do this, you'd be shocked. Strangers or once strangers will reach out to you, and they will feel like you are their best friend. I mean, I'm sure you've had people on social who've been following you for a year that reach out to you and say, I think I know you.
It's crazy, man. And it's social media is such a powerful tool. And I have people that I have literally never met in real life that were just connected on social media that I borrowed hundreds of thousands of dollars from. Right. And we have we've made this connection via exactly what you're talking about, just documenting and sharing too. So it's pretty cool.
The last piece of advice. So again, I think you got to document, it's going to be close to your network. I think just sharing your openness to learn is awesome. If I could do it with a blog back in the day, now you have video and social and all these reels. It should be easier, but you got to do the work.
Yep.
A lot of new investors who want to raise private money think they have a deal. Then they talk to like 3 people, and then they sit down and whine like nobody understands. It's consistency, repetition, putting it out there. And then the last thing I'll say about raising money the first time is I would over-rotate to making sure that first investor wins.
Yeah, 100%.
Because you need references. That first one, grand slam ×2, home run. I don't even give a rat's ass if you make any money. They've got to make a killing.
your private lenders always bring their friends and family once you do 1 or 2 deals with them. It happens inevitably, right? You pay them off, they do another deal, then you pay them off again, and eventually it's like, hey, my neighbor, my friend, my coworker, somebody else, I talked to them about what we've got going on, and they want to lend money too. So to your point, that's a great point. You have to make sure that they get taken care of, especially if it's one of your first ones. Another thing that I'll say, and this is what I'll add to this conversation, is I think a lot of new investors get stuck on we've talked about my credibility packet, and I've got a lot of One Rental at a Time listeners and watchers that ask me for that, right? So that's a resource that I'm happy to give and share with you if you guys are watching. So that, I think the other things that we can share are with new investors, they get caught up on like the what is the deed of trust and what is the note and like what are all these things, right? And so I will give you guys all of that stuff. I'll give you guys copies of all the stuff that I have if you want to reach out to me, and just to get those obstacles out of your way, because I feel like they make that the bigger issue, and it's not really that. It's not access to resources like what does the note look like and what does my credibility packet look like, right? So
folks, if you haven't been following Jason Pritchard on Instagram or now gone to his website, you are missing out. He has a treasure trove of assets on his website. Jason, what is the website so people can go to it? And again, if you reach out to him, please tell him you came from One Rental at a Time, so he knows his time with us is valuable.
Just go to jasonpritchard.com. We launched the site recently. I put all of my stuff up there for free, all of these documents and resources that we're talking about, the credibility packet, our deed of trust, our note, all of those things. I'm happy to share that with you guys. Just shoot me a line on the website, and I'll make sure my team or I get it sent over to you.
Hundreds of you should be pinging Jason Pritchard today to get that stuff, because you don't know the treasure trove he has there. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.